Hi everyone, how you doing? Ready for another stream? I know I am. It's Friday, it's Kanban board. We are doing it. For everyone joining in, thank you. We have a very packed day today. And let me tell you what we're going to do. We're going to clean up the UI first. There are a few things that I don't like about the current card column situation, so we're gonna clean that up real quick. And after that, we are going to focus on creating tasks. We have tests for it. We're gonna make sure that the tests work. We're gonna make sure that after adding a card, they get added to the end of the list. And everything is gonna go just as planned, as always. Okay. So yeah, starting with the UI. I don't like the fact that the column grows on its own. I'd rather just, because I was looking at Trello just for inspiration, and there are a few things that I do like about the design. First of all, the columns don't grow all the way. They just grow by the size of how many cards they have, but up to the size of the screen. So if there are more cards than the size of the screen, then the scroll kicks in. But if there are less cards, then the column should just grow up to that length or that height. So I want to do that. And also I want to clean up these cards because they feel a little too chunky, there's way too much padding. They feel too big. So I want to clean them up and make them look a bit more lean. So let's start with the column. I'm already in the project and I'm running the Vite server, so we're good on that front. Let's go to, let's see, I believe it's in resources, views, components, Kanban, group. So as you can see, this is just a div with a flex layout, and it's flex call. That means that everything inside is just going to grow. I mean, it's going to be stacked in a column fashion. But I believe because this is flex call, and because of the parent, which is it's the board, is it? I think it's the board. The board has an H full, so the column is going to grow automatically to the full extent of the full height of the parent, which is already full height. So, and that one is also, this one is inline flex, so it also has a flex layout. So to fix this, the easiest way is to just go to the group, and right here we just need to add two classes. First one is self start, and with that nothing happens. Did I save? I didn't save. There you go. Now save, and it kind of works because as you can see, this is no longer growing all the way down. I guess it's going to be more apparent if I just zoom out a bit. So yeah, it only grows up to the length of the cards, but there is also the problem that if I make this smaller, there is no vertical scrolling. So it just grows down there and we can't see it. So we have to fix that. For that, we just need to define a maximum height for the column. So we just say max H full. So it's stays the same, nothing changed. But if I take this down, as you can see now, the column grows only up to the edge of the screen. And now the horizontal scrolling kicks in when that happens. And that's what I want. All right, that was easy, wasn't it? Now, the next thing, I want to clean up the cards. Let me zoom in just a bit. So like I mentioned, I was looking at Trello for inspiration on the design of the cards, and I want to do 3 things. First one, I want to, I thought it would look good here, but to be honest, I'm not feeling it. So what I want to do instead for tags is I'm going to move this up here, right above the task description. And it's not gonna have words or SVGs or anything. It's just gonna be a colored span, like a small pill or a tag, just above the task description. And if there are many of them, they're just gonna stack horizontally. Second thing, I don't want dates anymore. This feels like because we can. You remember that we had this last week? That's cool. But yeah, I'm going to remove that date from there. It's just useless. I don't think I'm going to use it. If anything, later on, if we need icons, we can just put them at the bottom. If, for example, a task has a comment or a note inside, we can add a small icon there to denote that it has a note. And lastly, there is way too much padding around it. Feels too chunky, so we're gonna fix that as well. Let's start with the label. Sorry, the badge. So for that, let's go to the card, and first of all, do I want to take the full div or just the span? Full div or just the span? Maybe the full div. No, just the span. Let's see how it goes with just the span. So let's take the span, delete it from here, and then paste it here, just above this div. I'm also going to delete the contents of that. Keep in mind that this is the color rose. It's not going to be 500 though. I've been looking at the design colors for Filament, and I'm going to try to follow their color palette, just for lack of a better word. And they, for errors and anything red, they use rose 400 on dark mode. So I'm gonna do the same. So let's delete this SVG. That SVG, if you didn't know, is this little dot right there. So I don't need that. And also the span inside it. I don't need a label anymore. What I do need is to give this form. First of all, let's go all the way to the background. Going to be rose, but it's going to be 500 on light mode. So replace that with a 5, and on dark mode is going to be 400, like so. I don't need the leading tight. There is no text inside this, so delete that. I'm gonna make it rounded full to make it a full pill. So I can do that. Round it full. And then I'm gonna give it a padding of 1, I think. Let's start with 1, just to give it a padding all around and give it like some form, and also a width so that it extends a certain amount. Let's give it a width of, let's say 10. Hamad, how you doing, my man? Thank you for joining me. Awesome, you're awesome. How's your day going? All right, let's see how that looks. Go back here. And you see, it already looks a little better. It's gonna look better, but it looks a little better than before. Is 10 too big? I think 10 is too big. I'll leave it like that for now. Let's get that date out of there. I don't need it anymore. I am going to leave the div legs here just in case I need to add icons, and I'm actually going to make a note here. Hard icons, just in case. Okay, and now let's fix the padding because it's way too big. By looking at the design from Trello, I think they barely use any padding. So let's go up here. There's the class. Yeah, padding 5 is just way too much. Let's go with 1. That's way too little. Better. Yep. What do you think? Also, the text, it has to be smaller. Right now it's text SM. I'm gonna go with text XS, extra small. Now I need to zoom in a bit more. Am I not in 100? Yeah, I wasn't. 125, it's fine. Okay, so now that the text is small, I do think that this is way too big. So let's make it 9. Better. Yep, that's overall. I like that better. It gives me space to create more descriptive task descriptions, hence the name, and it feels more lean, more compact. I don't know. What do you guys think? I think it looks better. So I think that covers all the UI things that I wanted to do right now. We're going to do a couple more UI things, but that's going to be after we pass the tests for... Wow, I have something in my eye. That's going to be after we pass the tests for... Oh, there it is. An eyelash. For creating tasks. So once we do that, then we're going to go back to the UI and add a small form that we're going to use to create the tasks. So I think we can move on to test cases. Oh, one thing that I forgot to mention last week, and someone in the comments mentioned it to me, is the fact that on week 1, I had the problem with where this header was only growing up to the length of the columns. And I ended the stream not knowing what the problem was. And then next week I fixed it off screen and never mentioned it again. So just so I don't forget, you see that this now extends all the way. And it was because mainly in the index, I believe. Was it index or board? I think it was the board. So yeah, this here, if I'm not mistaken, I needed to have 2 things for the board, and basically it's just the header here. Was it that? No, it's not here. It's where I used the thing. Hold on. So it's on resources, views. Livewire board here. So the way that this was set up first is that I had a root div component that was encapsulating both the sidebar and the Kanban, and in the layout I had another div that was encapsulating both. And I think that was screwing me up because the div that was containing the board and the header, the board and then the board contains the header, was not expanding. So basically the solution was I added this sidebar slot here on the layout, and then in the Livewire board component I was able to just use the Kanban board component as the root, and outside that we can then use the slot for the sidebar. So I'm able to have two elements that are both at the root of the component, or at the root of the Livewire component, and they can live side by side. When you use slots, you can have slots outside of the root element of the Livewire component. And that's for the layout, by the way. So yeah, once I did that, I removed the div that was containing these two because this div was encapsulating the header as well. It wasn't working, and then the header can extend all the way. I hope that makes sense. If not, I believe if you try to compare the two week 1 and week 2 branches, in fact, let me do it. If you go to GitHub, to my GitHub, Kanban board, and let's take, for example, week 1. We can do contribute, really? Then week 2. If I try to make a pull request and compare that to week 1, see if I can find that place. Task, database either, no. Bootstrap, no. That's the car, that's the group. So yeah, this is the layout that I was talking about, and as you can see, I just added this sidebar here. And then on the board itself, I removed this div that was encapsulating the sidebar and the Kanban board, and I added that xslot sidebar at the top. And that's basically it. That solved the problem. All right, test cases, here we go. As always, I prepared a couple of test cases for this session. I added this assert database has up here, just so you don't forget. And then at the end, I added two test cases, sorry. And we're gonna work on the first one. It can create tasks. I'm simply creating as any other group. I should stop duplicating this, but it kind of makes sense because it's different in every scenario. But anyway, creating a group, adding tasks. In this case, I'm adding 2 tasks to that group. Task 1, task 2. And then I create those, and then I mount the board component, and I'm setting a description field on this component, and I'm setting that to task 3, and that's going to be, sorry, you're going to see why in a second once we get to the UI. Basically, the component has to have a field that we can wire into an input element that will have the value for the new task. And in this case, I'm doing it in the board component, and I know that may seem like I'm adding too much things to the board component, but next week, once we get this working, we are going to then break the entire board into smaller components. The column is going to be a component and the card itself is going to be a smaller component. I don't want to go for the nesting right away because I first want to make sure that everything is working so that then I can rework the design a bit, but at least I don't have to worry or concentrate into making things work after I've made a whole redesign. Instead, I just have to focus on not breaking what already works, which is, in my mind, it works better. It's a better process, I guess. So yeah. So I set that field in the component to task 3, and then I'm going to call a method called createTask. And on that task, I'm going to pass the group ID. Now, again, because everything is living right now in one big component, if the group were its own component, then I wouldn't need to do this, passing the group ID, because the component will have that group as part of its properties. But because it's not, then I'm, for now, passing the group ID to the createTask method so that I can then access that and create a task for that specific group. I hope that makes sense. And once I call this method, what I expect is that the database has a task with a description of task 3. Notice that I'm not concerned about the order just yet. That's going to come after. Right now, I just want to make sure that I can have a task in the database after calling this method here. And let the errors begin. Let's see, what do we have first? I'm going to make this bigger. Integrity constraint violation. Not null constraint fail on task sort. And that makes sense because I'm not passing the sort value here, which I should. I could do, well, yeah, I should. If I don't pass the sort here, I'm going to have to deal with the sorting right away. In any other scenario, for example, I would go to the task factory class, and you see how I'm not passing a sort here. In any other scenario, I would just give it a fake value. But that really doesn't make sense here because I really don't want to give it a fake value. It has to be a specific value that I'm going to cover in the next test, where I am going to make sure that when I add a new task, it goes to the end. Like the last sort value plus 1. But I don't want to deal with that here. Right now, I'm only interested in creating that in the database. So the easiest thing I could do is just ignore the factory for now and just pass the sort value here. So let's do that. This will be sort 0. Yoink and paste. And this will be, I believe there was a is it Control A? No, that was Command. Control A. Yeah, Control A increments a number. I just wanted to try that out. I don't know. So yeah, sort 0, sort 1, so I don't have to deal with sorting. I know this one is going to have a... I'm gonna have to deal with that, actually, after all. Because if I create, unless... No, yeah, I'm gonna have to deal with this. That's fine. We're gonna get rid of that error right now, but then when I get to calling this and actually creating the task, then I'm gonna have to deal with the sort value. But for now, let's just keep going. Run previous. All right, pass that error. Unable to set component data. Public property description not found on component board. Of course it doesn't because there isn't one. Close this and let's open the board. Livewire. Ooh, not that one. Board. Livewire component. And let's scroll all the way to the top. And right here, just below the public groups, let's add another one. Public. What is it? Description. And that should be enough. Unable to call component method, public method, create task not found on component. All right, moving forward. Now we need a new method. So let's create that right below the sort, maybe? Yeah, right here. So public function create task. Did I call it create task? Yes, create task. And I know I need to pass or receive a group ID right there. So let's take care of that. So group ID. All right, so we have things. Now we are at the database assertion. Failed asserting that a row in the table tasks matches the attributes description task 3. Similar records are task 1 and task 2. So yeah, we need to add that task. All right. So we need the group first. So let's do group equals. I wonder if I can do implicit model binding here. Could I? What happens if I just do group and like so? Would that work? It does. All right. So I have the group. I don't have to do an extra query for this. Let Laravel take care of that. Oh no, I don't have to deal with. Well, let's do this. I'm debating myself in my mind about whether I want to set the sort value here or do I want to do it in the model class. It makes more sense to do it in the model class, but right now we're not dealing with perfect code. We're just dealing with a green passing test. So I'm going to do it here and then I'm going to rework it. Marcio Soares Sotelli, greeting master, greetings from Brazil. Mentioned Brazil. Here we go. Thank you. Thank you for being here. So yeah, let's first do it here and then we will rework it. So we have the group. So what I want to do basically is just say, give me the last sort position from this group. I will add 1 to that and set that to the task that I'm about to create. So last sort position equals to, we can say group tasks with parentheses, and here we can say max sort. Now, a couple of things that could happen here. Actually, two scenarios, maybe more. Either we don't have any tasks and last sort position is null, in which case I want to set it to 0 because that'll be the first one, or technically the last one. We do have tasks, and in that case that'll give me the last one, which could be 0, 1, 2. All I want to do is, if it's not null, add 1 to it. Make sense? So let's say if, no, let's do it verbose. So sort equals last sort position. Let's check if that's equal to null. If it's equal to null, then it's going to be 0. Otherwise, it's going to be last sort position plus 1. And now that I have the sort position, I can just say group tasks. Can you do task? Thank you. Tasks create description, and let's call this description, because if you remember, in the test case I am already setting the value of this in the test case, so we will have a value for this. And now we also have a sort value of sort. We can clean this up, of course, as I said, but first let's make it work. Okay, test previous. You're still complaining about the description, the DSERE, just checking if my spelling is correct, and it is. So why? Oh, of course. Now I know. It's the model. It's not, we're doing mass assignment, but it's not in the fillable array. So task, we only have sort here, so let's add description. All right. The good thing about this is that now we know that when we create a task, it's gonna have its own sort position at the end. Now, let's rework this a little better, because I really don't want that to be in the Livewire component. It feels more of something that the model itself should have to take care of. So let's move this sort position to the model. So in the task model, let's let's make let's handle this with an event. So we can say static. Is it static protected or protected? It's protected. Static function booted. if I'm not mistaken. Yes, it is booted. And this booted method is going to, no, this is not the one that takes any parameters. Here, however, we can say static creating, because we want to do this just before we save or persist the task to the database. Before we do that, we want to get the sort value. This will get a task model as a parameter. Oh, sorry. This is a callable. This calls a function that then receives a task model. Okay, I'm gonna go bring that. What am I doing? Let's bring that from the component. So I want these two lines from here. And just put them here. And obviously some things are not going to work, but we can fix them. For example, we don't have a group here, but we do have the task which has a group. So we're going to go up to the parent and down to the children. So let's do task group, like so. So the task has a reference to its parent, and from that we can then get all of the tasks of that parent, getting the maximum. And instead of sort, we can just say this sort. That'll work, right? But wait. I do think that I have a couple of scenarios where in my test cases, I am providing a specific sort value for that column, a specific value for the sort column. So if I leave this like that, it's going to, so look at this. See, for example, here, I want this to be 0 and 1. And there's another one where I'm creating them in different order. So this one here. I don't want to break this test, but if I leave the things as they are right now, then even if I pass sort as 1 for the first task, the model creating method is going to say, no, I don't care, it's going to be 0. So this test is going to break. So I guess what I can do is let's do this. Do that. What I'm going to say is do that calculation of the last sort position only if the value of sort right before creating the task is no. If I don't have a value on sort, then find out which one is it. If there is a value of sort, ignore everything. So I guess we can just say if this sort is equals to null. Yeah, equals, let's do triple check. Equals to null. Then do this. Makes sense, right? If I have a value, then it's not going to find out a value. It's not going to overwrite the value. But if there is no value, then the task itself is going to go and get one. It's going to be always the last one. Now we can go back to the board component and just create a task without the sort, like so. And technically, if everything goes well, if I run the previous test, it breaks. Using this when not in an object context, where am I? So I cannot use this. Oh, I have a task. Don't be dumb. Dumb. This is a static. I cannot check things with this on a static method. That's why I have the task here. So it's not this, it's task. Yeah, I'm so dumb. Okay, save that, run it again. Successful rework. And now that the method on the board component doesn't care about the sort position, it just creates a task with the description that I provided. Awesome. So now we can create tasks now. What else? I guess the next test has been taken care of. So this one's fine. This one should be fine already. We already taken care of that. So properly sort new tasks. Yeah. Create a group, create 2 tasks. This time I'm providing the sort value and not the description. Set the description to new task. Call the method, and I expect the new task to have a sort value of 2. So yeah, this one's already taken care of. Two for one. Ain't that great? And since we're here, let's just make sure that everything works. In fact, we can do it with run file. Awesome, everything is working fine. Okay, so now we know that we can create tasks. All we need to do now is actually create tasks. So let's go for the UI now. Close this, and this. So what I want to do, again, following a bit on the design of the Trello cards and Trello itself, what I want to do is I'm going to have a small section down here that will serve as an area where you can click, add a card, and then the card will be added to that column. So let's go to the group, resources, views, components, Kanban, group. Right now, this is a flex call. We have an H3 at the top. We have the cards here. And then we can add another div down here, I guess. So another div. And let's scaffold this real quick. So what I want here is a let's go with a button. Oh, now that well, no. Type button. Let's give this a few classes first of all. class, this will have an icon of a plus button, so it will be a plus sign and then add card next to it. So let's make it flex item center, yeah, and justify start, because I want that to be on the left side. And let's give it a gap of 1. And let's make this button full width. And let's use a hero icon. If you remember, I think the first episode we installed a package that will allow me to use hero icons as blade components. So I can say X hero icon, I guess it's hero icon, outline plus, I think. And let's use a span here for the add card text. All right, let's see if that works. Save. Ugh. Kinda. Okay. The icon works. Let's just make it smaller. Size 4. And let's make this just like the label here. So it'll be text SM font medium. Too small. Better. But we need padding. So let's give it the same padding as the header. That'll be in the button. So the header has a padding X of 3, padding top 3, padding bottom. That's just too convoluted. Why don't we just give it a padding of 3? So padding 3. Yeah, that looks good. This is doing too much. Let's just change that. Yeah. Although the text does look the text does look too big. So much better. Okay. Now it's consistent. The text from the label up top is the same size as the text on the label down below. And sorry, the good thing about this is it's always going to stay there. So it's going to grow with the column and it's going to be above the cards, which I think is it looks good. And is this button? Yeah, it's clickable all the way. I hope the size is okay, by the way. If you think that the size of this is too small and it's too hard to see, let me know and I can zoom in just a bit more, okay? Now, what I want to do here is, when you click this, I want to switch it to a form that has a text input for the task description and 2 buttons, one for confirming and one for canceling. So save and cancel. And for that, I already went ahead because I didn't want you to watch me create those inputs here on the screen. It's for me? Okay, awesome. It's good. I mean, I'm assuming it's good. So I created a couple of components for the session, mainly just a text input, which is just a bunch of classes, nothing too special, just a div to give the, basically I just copied this one up here and just removed the search. So it's just that. Is it me, or does that input have a blue ring around it? It does, doesn't it? That's not gonna let me enjoy life. Hold on. Why are you being weird? Elements here. Make this bigger. Make sure I have that selected. Let's see what the problem is. So focus within. That's fine. Focus visible. That's the problem. Why? So BG wide, what classes do I have here? BG wide. Let's go to the actual component to look at that. Where was that? In the header? I think it's in the header. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? All task, image. Here it is. So I have a focus within, which is fine, but I need to get rid of the focus visible ring. So let's do focus visible ring 0. Still there. Is it because it's not? Oh, maybe it's because I'm in dark mode. Let's see. Dark, focus visible, ring 0. Come on. Is it a ring or an outline? Could be an outline. Hold on. Let's go with outline none. WebSocket or Laravel Reverb? You're asking a very biased person. Reverb. If it was me, I would choose Reverb. Didn't work here, so let's try the dark one then. Oh, I'm a dumbass. I'm doing this in the wrong place. I'm doing it in the div that contains the input, and the problem is not the div, it's the input. Let me move that outline none to here. Ah, it's gone. Good. So I guess I don't need this dark one here. Yeah, that's better. As I was saying, Reverb Gang. You bet. You bet. So as I was saying, I created a couple of, I hope that input does have that problem. So let me just check. Created a text input here. And it's just the same div with a bunch of classes. And let me just make sure that I have an outline on here. Yeah, I did it here. Focus visible, outline none. Okay. And yeah, it's just a text input that I just made into its own component so that I don't have to duplicate the entire thing again. And also I created two buttons and I made the design look like a filament, same colors. We have a primary button, which looks exactly the same as the primary buttons, the amber ones from Filament. And again, nothing too fancy, just a button with a bunch of classes. I define the default type of submit, and then I merge all of the classes here. Very long list of classes. And also I have a secondary button without color, which is just, again, like the one in Filament. And it's the same thing, just a button with type and classes. Now, how do we make the switch? What we're going to do is we are going to make this an Alpine JS component. Let's say x data equals, let's create a property, let's call it, I don't know, show at task form. Let's say that by default this is going to be false. Well, it should be false, but let's make it true just for the time being while we are designing the form. So let's change it to true. And now we can come back down here to the button and let's say x show at task form, and we are only going to show this button when this is false. See, false. So when we're not showing the form, we show the button. And we can also right away say that when we click this button, let's make show at task form equals to true. So clicking button will show the form. Now we need a form. So let's do it right up top. Let's do this. Let's use a template because this is not going to generate any DOM or any HTML. And on a template, we can say x if show at task form equals to true. This is going to show in that case. So here in this template, let's add a form. We will define the classes of that form and all of the properties, but for now I just want to see the form. And here we can say, since we have an input, let's say x input x text input like that. And then two buttons, a primary button, x primary button. This will be the save button. So type submit will be fine. And let's call it save or add. Add card. Save. And below that, we can say X secondary button. This one I want to make it a type button, so it won't submit the form. Let's make it cancel. And right away, given the way that I designed the component, I can just set properties here. For example, you can have a click event from Alpine.js and just say that show at task form equals to false. So that way we have a way of closing the form or canceling out of the form and go back to the previous state. That should work. We set it to true. Yes, we set it to true. So let's save and see how it looks. Almost. Starting with there is no padding and this is flat against the input. And I should have a placeholder. Okay, one by one. Hey Willie, how you doing, my man? I just joined when pass wire ignore. Which one are you talking about? This one that I'm doing? Wire ignore when you where it starts with I'm sorry, I just line 10. Hero icon, this one. Sorry, you're looking at the at the line numbers. 20, sorry. Are you talking about the form or the button? Sorry, I'm using relative line numbers. So this is the line that I'm at, and all of the lines are relative to this one. So it's a Vim thing. Yeah, I know. It's because X data. Oh, okay. Let's see. Wire ignore. I don't need wire ignore here, I think. So no, it's not gonna clash. So if I go out to the group here, let's say if you go to the board here, and you do that, let's see what happens. Where is it? Oh, here. Add in one? No. Flex call. Yeah, it's right there. It's not clashing. If you pass wire ignore and wire key or whatever wire you want, it's going to add it to the div no matter what. So you can add as many wire properties as you need. Does that help? I hope I'm understanding the question. So yeah, this starts with wire. Okay, good, perfect. Let's fix this padding here. So it's as easy as coming down here. This is the div that is giving me problems. Let's make the same padding. So class padding, what did we go with? 3. Okay, that's same padding. Let's separate this too from the input. So I guess the best thing I could do is just add a div here. Class padding top 2. And just move the buttons up there. Yeah. It's when you said it and you mentioned it, that my brain went to that too, and I was worried that that was the case, but apparently now it's just gonna grab all of the attributes that start with that prefix and just put them in there in just echo them like this. So yeah, it was a fair assumption, to be honest. And since we're here, let's separate these buttons a bit more. So that's a padding 2. Let's make this flex. Flex, item center, justify start, and gap 2, maybe? Yeah, that looks good. Okay, placeholder, right. And also we should have we're going to do validation on this form, so we should have a place for an error message somewhere here, probably below the text input. So let's use error. This will be description. And let's add a span class text rows 400 for 500 for light mode, and dark text rows 400, also text SM, no, XS. Message. I guess I should remove the error first just to see it. Wait. No, it works. we're gonna see it. Yes, best thing to test it is first let's go back to the component, the Livewire component, and that'll be in board. Need a placeholder? Yeah, I'm about to do that. And perhaps a divider? No, divider, it'll be too crowded, I think, in my opinion. So here, we should, before creating this, let's do this validate. And for that, we also need to go to the property description and make that required. You think? Let's see. Well, maybe text small should be, it's way too small, but accessibility over design. Yeah, you're right. Let's say okay, so the description is required. We're validating before, so technically, oh, we're still not calling this method. We should call this method. So let's call this method. Let's do it in the form. Let's say wire submit equals, this will be create task. We need to pass the group ID, which we don't have. We don't have the label. Guess we should just pass the group. Yeah. Thank you. Where was it? Yeah, that would have bit me right in the you know what. So now we have a group here. So instead of group label, we can say change inside word group name. And here we can say group ID. So we're calling that because this is a submit button. Let's see how it goes. Oh, and not, and also let's change this to false. Okay, so it's gone. If I click this, now we have the form. If I click cancel, we go back to this. And that plus sign is way too small. Placeholders, placeholder, placeholder, placeholder. Input here. And we should wire this to the description on the board. So we can say wire model description. Just a heads up, I recently used a plugin that had hard-coded ID references, but I needed to publish their migrations and use UIDs. That broke. Oh, that's smart. Yep, you're right. So we have the input wired to the description. The button will submit. Let's see. Add card. We have placeholder. Let's try submitting without anything. I don't like that size. Well, maybe the thing I don't like is that it's flat against the input. You see, the thing that I don't like about that is that everything, all of the other text is text SM, and this is not. So let me see how it looks with text SM. Here. And also a padding top of 1. Yeah, XS, I was going to use XS, but I think that would have been too small. SM is in line with the rest of the text used across the UI, so SM is a good size. And now it's a little bit apart from the text input, so I like that better. Yeah. Not gonna do that today. Guess I should. Problem is I would have to modify. Tell you this. Since the input is just free for everyone to use, I am going to add a ring off screen so that I don't go into details right now. So you can just use the input as is whenever you want it as a component, and it's going to have the ring around it, and you can use it anywhere else. That good? Promise I'll have it ready for next week. But you are right. It needs a ring around. Let's try creating a task. If it works, it should work. We already tested this. So let's say task 6. We should be able to just press enter. Kinda. 2 things. Value is still there. We have to clear the value of the input and hide the form. So clearing the value, can we reverse the order by config? Right now we can't, but I can probably add that as an option. Probably we're going to do that when I'm going to eventually extract every sortable behavior into a trait, so that'll be a good thing to have over there. So sort order, Jesus, config reverse. Noted. Thank you for the suggestion. So a good way to reset the value in a Livewire component is by just saying pool and then the name of the attribute. So when you use pool, it's going to get the value and then reset it. And next is we need to close the form once we are done. An event, maybe? Yeah, an event. So let's say that we are done here. Let's dispatch an event. This dispatch task created. So now we can go to the group here and let's do it up here. So we can catch that event by saying X on task created window show that task form equals false. So we dispatch an event from the Livewire component, and the way that we catch that event on Alpine.js is by using the same event on X on the event name, and make sure to use .window because the event is dispatched all the way to the top. And so if we want to catch it from Alpine.js, we have to look it in the window scope. I think that's how it works. Okay, and let's change that. That's way too small. Size 5. Yeah, better. Although I don't like that this thing is not flat against this. Why is that? Oh yeah, there's a padding here and there is a padding on the button. I should get rid of the padding in the button. I do? Well, that's not surprising. Thank you. Wow. How is it that my brain sees that jumbled word and thinks, yeah, that's perfect? Wow. Thank you, Willy. What would I do without you? I hope it's the same. I didn't task created. Okay, that's fine. That should work. Let's check the padding real quick. It's better now. Awesome. Click here. Say task 7. Enter. Perfect. So the task is created, goes all the way to the end. No need to specify a sort value. Form gets closed. We can use enter. Everything, it's looking great. And this stays the size of the screen. Scroll looks good. Everything is fine and dandy. Awesome. Also, add card should be on the top. Imagine if you have 50 to-dos, no matter, because this is only going to grow all the way to here. So you don't have to scroll all the way to the bottom. There is a horizontal scroll, and if you do this, this is always handy, always visible in the screen. Me smart brain. And in fact, if I reset the database, let's reset the database. If you have less cards than the size of the screen, then this just goes all the way to that size. And if you had one, the create will be always next to the last one. I think we can stop here. Okay, we're gonna stop here. Thank you so much for joining me. Next week, don't miss it out because we are going to deal with removing tasks and also editing. We should be able to click on a task and have a dialog where we can edit the description and add notes to it and save it. We are also going to be, should be out of focus still. What? Yeah, out of focus. I'm gonna look into how to do that because I don't know how to do that. But yeah, it should be autofocus as soon as we click in it. It should be like that. You're right. So I'm gonna look into that, clean up all of the small details so that it's accessible. We're going to edit tasks, delete tasks, and we are going to deal with sorting between groups, because right now we can sort here, but we only have one group, and I want to have more groups so that we can sort between one group and the other. It's going to be a packed session next week, so don't miss it. Subscribe to the channel so you don't. If you found any of this helpful, don't forget to leave a like, always helpful. Thank you for joining me, Willie. Thank you for all the suggestions. You're always very, very helpful. And north of also from, I don't know where you're from, but River Gang, Mauricio from Brazil, and of course, Hamad, the boss. Thank you all for joining me. I'll see you next week. And yeah, I'm gonna stay here just so that the thing doesn't cut me off. I'll see you in the next one.